Joseph Murphy. How the rich get richer and how you will join them. Wealth is a state of consciousness. Once you gain the ability to tap your subconscious mind, you will never want for any good thing all your life, whether it be health, peace of mind, true expression, companionship, or a lovely home, and all the money you need to do what you want to do when you want to do it. Your subconscious offers you the infinite power to be rich, and the key is your own thought. Your thought is creative. Begin to think regularly and systematically of success, achievement, victory, abundance, and the good life. Thinking makes it so. A few years ago, I joined a guided tour that took me to many scenic places in Spain and Portugal. There were about 30 of us on this tour. One was a young woman named Maria B. When I introduced myself, during a get-acquainted party at our first stop, her eyes widened. "Are you the man who wrote The Power of Your Subconscious Mind?" she asked excitedly. "I owe this trip to you." She explained that she had always wanted to visit Spain. Her ancestors had originally come from Malaga, one of the places we were scheduled to visit. The expenses of such a tour were beyond her means, however. For a long time, she put the project out of her mind as impossible. When she read about the wonderful powers of her subconscious, however, she decided to put the techniques to the test. Her first step was to gather brochures and magazine articles about Spain. Looking through them, she found herself mysteriously drawn to a photograph in one of the tourist brochures of the Hotel Malaga Palacio. She decided that this attraction must be a sign from her subconscious. Every night before going to sleep, she would concentrate on the picture. Then she would place herself in a dreamy, receptive state of mind and imagine she was in that hotel. She visualized her room, the beautiful view from her window, the wonderful meals on the terrace, all in as much detail as possible. After she had followed this procedure for about a week, she happened to take the folder for one of the guided tours to work with her. As she was glancing through it before leaving for lunch, one of her co-workers, a young man whom she didn't know, saw it and remarked how much he wanted to see Spain. They went out to lunch together and discovered they had a great deal in common. Soon, they were dating seriously. When they became engaged, Maria's aunt told her that as a wedding present she wanted to pay for the couple's honeymoon and suggested a tour of Spain. "So you see," Maria concluded, "I don't just owe you this chance to see Spain, I owe you my marriage too." I smiled. "You don't owe me a thing," I said. "All this you owe to the power of your own subconscious and to your wisdom in making use of it." Maria's story illustrates the working of your deeper mind. It always magnifies what you deposit in it. She visualized a trip to Malaga. She received not only that, but a new and fulfilling relationship. Your subconscious gives you compound interest. Whatever you deposit in it is magnified and multiplied exceedingly. Maria's thought image proved to her where all the riches are. On the tour of Spain I just mentioned, we visited the city of Seville, which personifies the real Spain more than any other community in that country. Over 500,000 people here share a rich history that has included Phoenicians, Romans, Visigoths, and Moors, all of whom left their mark there. Seville's university was founded in 1502, and the city gave the world two of its greatest painters, Murillo and Velázquez. One of our guides was a friendly, intelligent young man who had a thorough knowledge of the city and its culture, along with a fund of interesting and amusing sidelights. As we were walking from our hotel to the cathedral, I said to him, "Where did you learn your English? You speak like a native." He grinned. "That's because I am," he said. "I grew up in New York City in Queens." "Okay, then I'll rephrase my question," I said. "Where did you learn your Spanish? You speak like a native." "That's an interesting story," he replied. "My mom is Spanish, from right here in Seville. She and my dad met when he was stationed here with the Air Force. She always talks Spanish to me at home, and of course New York has a lot of Spanish speakers, so I had plenty of chances to practice." "I can see that," I said. "But what brought you here?" "For as long as I can remember, I wanted to live in Europe and be a guide," he told me. "I used to read guidebooks the way other kids read mysteries. I loved to study maps. When I daydreamed, I'd daydream about walking through one of the great cities and looking at all the historic buildings. When I was 14, I decided I had to do something to make my dream become real. So I wrote it down on a piece of paper. I said I wanted to learn French and German so I could guide people from many countries around Spain and the rest of Europe. I carried the paper folded in my wallet, and every time I had some spare moments, I took it out and reread it. I told myself it wasn't a dream, it was a reality that simply hadn't happened yet. I was terrifically impressed by this young man's account. Without conscious knowledge of how the subconscious mind works, he had stumbled upon an effective way of invoking it. "Well, the fact that you're here taking us around proves that you were right," I remarked. "How did the fulfillment of your dream come about?" "Simple," he replied, with another infectious grin. "So simple I never would have thought of it on my own. My mother's relatives wrote and asked if I'd like to come live with them while I went to high school in Seville. I jumped at it, of course. And when I got here, I learned that the university has a course of study for people who want to go into the tourist industry. So here I am. This guide's constant prayer is, 'The God of heaven, he will prosper us.'" By constantly dwelling on his written request, he succeeded in writing it in the tablets of his subconscious mind, which responded by bringing it to pass in its own unique way. "The Lord maketh poor and maketh rich. He bringeth low and lifteth up." 1 Samuel 2:7. The Lord is the lordly power of your subconscious mind, called the Father within. Your Lord is what dominates your thinking. If your dominant conviction is that you are entitled to all the good things of life, such as health, wealth, love, true expression, and the abundant life, you will experience accordingly. On the other hand, if you feel that you are destined to be poor and that the good things of life are not for you, you are placing yourself in want, lack, frustration, and self-imposed bondage. Remember, your thought has power. It is creative. Every thought you initiate tends to manifest itself, except if it is neutralized by a more powerful thought of greater intensity. All the men and women who garner more of the world's goods reveal a wealth consciousness and a joyous expectancy of the best. Everything you experience is due to the law of your mind. By dwelling on the idea of increased good and by nourishing it and sustaining it, a person draws more of the riches of life to himself. On the other hand, one who thinks only of decrease, lack, and limitation magnifies his or her loss. The law of your subconscious is to increase any idea implanted in it. The experience of the negative thinker will attract more and more loss. Begin to practice the law of increase. Remember, any object to which you give special attention will tend to grow and magnify itself in your life. Attention is the key to life. Think of increase along all lines. Feel you are successful and prosperous, and you will see that the feeling of wealth produces wealth. Be sure you wish for all those around you success, happiness, and abundance, knowing that as you wish increase of wealth and happiness for others, you are also attracting more of God's riches to yourself. As you radiate abundance and riches to others, they will pick up your thoughts subconsciously and will be benefited by the feeling of riches and abundance emanating from you. God gave you richly all things to enjoy, and you are prospered beyond your fondest dreams. That simple prayer will work wonders in your life. As you quietly, lovingly, and feelingly enter into the realization that your thoughts of richness, success, prosperity, and health create all those conditions and circumstances on which you focus your attention, you will automatically create all the conditions necessary for your advancement. Moreover, you will find yourself attracting more and more people who will become clients, customers, friends, and associates, and who will aid you in the realization of your dreams. You will subconsciously attract to yourself the men and women who are living in the consciousness of God's riches. I was browsing through an exclusive shop in the Rodeo Drive section of Beverly Hills when a fashionably dressed woman came over to me. She introduced herself as Rhonda M., the founder and owner of the shop. As we talked, she told me what she regards as the secret of her tremendous success and great popularity with her customers. Every morning as she opens the store, she decrees, "Everyone who enters here is blessed and prospered, inspired and enriched in all ways." She has learned a great truth, which is, "Thou shalt also decree a thing, and it shall be established unto thee, and the light shall shine upon thy ways." Job 22:28. A friend introduced me to Barbara S., who lived with her husband in an upcoming area not far from my home. She confided that she was terribly worried about her husband. An insurance broker, he was constantly dwelling on his financial problems and setbacks. "I know his business isn't doing well," Barbara told me. "There's so much new competition from internet-based companies, but it can't be good for him to spend so much time imagining that he'll go bankrupt and that we'll lose our home." I was alarmed by the picture she painted. "You must try to persuade him to focus on more positive thoughts," I urged her. "I've tried," she said. "He refuses to listen. It's almost as if he wants to fail so he can say, 'I told you so.'" A month or so later, my friend told me that Barbara's husband's firm had filed for bankruptcy and their home was for sale at under its market value. It was snapped up by a wealthy neighbor as an investment. There are good, solid reasons why the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Job said, "The thing which I greatly feared is come upon me." Job 3:25. The law of mind is good and very good. A person who thinks constantly of loss, lack, failure, and bankruptcy cannot expect to prosper and succeed. The rich person walking in the consciousness of success and prosperity looks upon wealth as like the air he breathes. It is his attitude, not merely his wealth, that lets him acquire the former home of the poor person. You can't think evil and reap good, any more than you can think good and reap evil. The law of your mind is perfect. It tries to manifest what is impressed upon it. The poor person, by which I mean the person who doesn't know how to operate and release the riches of her mind, creates her own poverty. She can, however, at any time she wishes, begin to practice the law of opulence and again attract to herself wealth, success, and riches of all kinds. You can get acquainted with the qualities of an orange by tasting it and eating it. You can get acquainted with the riches of your subconscious by applying the law of opulence. A businessman said to me that the source of supply was within him, and he responded to his faith in the endless resources of the infinite riches of his subconscious mind. Every morning and every night his prayer is, "I am ever grateful for God's riches that are ever active, ever present, unchanging and abundant." This businessman never wants for all the money he needs to operate his enterprise and to open up new branches. Listen to the truth, and you will never be in want. Infinite Spirit, the source of all blessings, the creator of the world and all things therein contained, is within you. You do not own anything in the universe. God or Spirit owns all. You are a steward of the divine, and you are here to use the wealth of the world wisely, judiciously, and constructively, claiming divine wisdom in your handling of all your earthly possessions. When you go on to another dimension, you cannot take with you anything but the treasures of wisdom, truth, and beauty that you have instilled in your subconscious mind. Your faith, confidence, and trust in the goodness of God and in the joy of the Lord that is your strength represent the real riches you will take with you into the next stage of life. These are the treasures of heaven, your mind. The whole world is yours to enjoy. The cattle on 1,000 hills are yours. The songs of the birds are yours. You can enjoy the stars in the heavens, the morning dew, the dusk and the dawn. You can turn your eyes to the hills, the mountains and the valleys. You can smell the sweet fragrance of the rose and the tang of new-mown hay. All the riches in the soil, in the air, and in the sea are yours. The fruit that falls to the ground and rots is abundant enough to feed all of humanity. Nature is bountiful, lavish, extravagant, even wasteful. It is God's intention and will that you lead a full and happy life. You should live in a beautiful home, surrounded by luxury. You should have beautiful clothes, constantly dressing for God and reminding yourself of the infinite and indescribable beauty, order, symmetry, and proportion of the infinite. You should have all the money you need to do what you want to do, when you want to do it. Your children should be brought up in beautiful surroundings and in a loving, God-like atmosphere. They should be taught the endless resources within the depths of their own minds, so that being able to tap the riches of their subconscious, they too will never want for any good thing. Recognize the infinite source within your subconscious, then invoke the great law of opulence and increase as follows. God is the source of my supply, whether it is energy, vitality, creative ideas, inspiration, love, peace, beauty, right action, or wealth that I need. I know the creative powers of my subconscious can bring all these things into being. I am now appropriating mentally and experiencing buoyant health, harmony, beauty, right action, abundant prosperity, and all the riches of my deeper mind. I exude vibrancy and goodwill to all. I am giving better service every day. God's riches are forever flowing into my experience, and there is always a divine surplus. All these thoughts are sinking down into my subconscious, and they are now coming forth as abundance, security, and peace of mind. It is wonderful.